Hello, this is just a show, and today we're going to be talking about video games. Let's start with a few disclaimers and a few warnings before we get started. 1. I love video games. They have been part of my life for as long back as I can remember. And for all the things that I love in video games, well, let's just say whenever you love something, the things that you hate about it are intensified by the things that you love about it. It doesn't always make a lot of sense, but for me, whenever I love something and they screw something up, it makes me really mad. Second disclaimer. I'm going to get very upset and very impassioned about what I'm talking about here. So, I'm going to curse, and I'm going to yell and scream and hoot and holler. If you don't like that, if you're in a place that does not allow for such conduct, pause and rewatch within the confines of your own home, or use headphones and turn the volume down. Because, like I said, whenever I get going, I'm not going to try to censor myself. I'm just going to let it flow. I'm going to throw out such words as fuck, shit, ass, bitch, whore. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. And that is going to be used to personify and quantify my rage. So, what this video is going to be about is my top 5 sort of recent, backhands that are in games. Recently. I have deeper grudges that I've probably repressed in some memories somewhere. But right now, we're just going to go with the ones that I have recently been able to recall without my head exploding. The first one, and these are in no particular order. They all kind of piss me off. First one comes from Metal Gear Solid 3, and it was the tripwire. Now, I believe I had played on normal difficulty, and I was going through the jungle, and I had walked across, I was getting ready to come to this next area, and I heard, chink! I'm like, what the fuck was that? And then I got a call on my codec, and one of my support operators had been like, Snake, the forest has been booby-trapped. It shouldn't be any problem for you, you being a master of traps and stealth and all. Just letting you know, heads up. And I was like, oh, okay, they're going to introduce traps. Well, as soon as the codec call ended, I learned what the chink noise was. It was a tripwire, and it was a log with pointy sticks and shit, swung down from the tree, stabbed me, and killed me. And I'm like, God damn it, you couldn't have told me about the traps 3 steps before I got to the first trap of the game? It was entrapment, man. I could probably get a lawyer that could legally argue entrapment. They wanted me to fail, and then they wanted to be condescending. I've seen that in other videos, so I know other people have had the same problem. It was not okay. I mean, true. You learn the importance of looking out from traps from that point on, but you just throw that shit right in your face. And then, to almost mock you after you've hit the first trap. Be like, haha, look out for traps. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Tree to the face. Okay. The next thing also comes from a first-person shooter, and this was from Splinter Blacklist. Now, I was playing one of the missions, and I was playing, I was using the ghost style, which means you're supposed to be able to take out enemies, not get seen, not get heard, so on and so forth. I was behind a crate, and there was this open area here, and then there was a metal fence. Now, it was a fence that had spaces all the way through it. It was like a picket fence. It had spaces in between it. Thin metal bars that you can clearly see through. I saw an enemy through the fence. I was able to mark them. The game recognized that I could see them. Now, I've surveyed everywhere else around me, seen the other enemies. This one seems isolated. So, I tried to shoot him with a tranquilizer gun in between the spaces of the bars. I took time to line up the shot. The shot was in between the spaces of those bars. What the game designers have done is not put in space where I saw the space in between the fence. It was one solid object, which I understand. Game designing is hard. It would be very tedious to put spaces in there. Why not just make it a whole fucking solid object fence that you can't see through? Because you can't shoot through it. Because I had it lined up and I was getting ready to shoot him, and the bullet hits the invisible space of the wall. Now, normally I'd be fine with this. If it's a space for it, alright, fine. But the enemy heard the shot bounce off the invisible space in the fence, sees me through the fence, and then proceeds to shoot me through the fence, of which I cannot return fire. That is some grade A horse shit. That they can shoot at me through a one-way mystical fence that I can't shoot through them at. I can see them, but I had to run, and I got killed because other big people showed up with shotguns, shot my face off, which wouldn't have happened if the fucking space had been in the fence in the first place, or it had just been a solid motherfucking fence. That's all I ask. Don't give me the illusion of space and shots that I can take whenever I can't take them. That sucks. The next thing, and this is always, I guess you could say it's one of my more deeper-seated grudges, because some games do this well. Coincidentally, Metal Gear Solid happens to do this very well. And other games, even games that are out today, that have been released months ago, they don't do this very well at all. Pause the cutscenes. Read my lips. Pause the damn cutscenes. I can't tell you how many times I've been playing a first-person shooter, or an RPG, or fucking whatever kind of game you have, and a cutscene starts to play, and I have to be interrupted for some reason. Like I have to use the bathroom, or I have to do chores with the dogs, or the trash, or I have to leave for whatever reason. If I try to press start, the pause button, by the way, it'll just skip the cutscene in certain games. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't want to skip the cutscene. I just needed a brief moment to pause the game because I had other things to do. It's like the game that don't allow you to pause the cutscenes. It's like you got to make that game the most important fucking part of your life. It's got to be the center of your universe, and nothing else is allowed to sidetrack you. Not the outside world, not your friends, your family, or your bowels. You are committed to that cutscene, and if you miss it for any point, well, fuck you. You don't get to see the cutscene. You're not good enough for that cutscene. And a simple just pause. And I understand having a skip for cutscenes. If you played through a game more than once, if you have cutscenes you don't care for, have the skip function in there. But make it a pause function, where you pause the game, and then you make select. Or you give, an options, a menu, skip cutscene. Make sure, is this what you want to do? Yes. That's fine. Another thing, goes along the same lines as that. I've had long cutscenes come up, and I go to set down the controller and accidentally press, let's say, the X button. Because this has happened on a PS2 and PS3. I've accidentally pressed a button and the game's like, oh, you wanted to skip? Skip cutscene. And you lost that cutscene. I'm like, God damn it. Because there's no way to go back unless you do it all over again. And if you wanted to see the cutscene of what you missed, you'd have to go online and look it up through a YouTube video or something like that. But it's horseshit. Just give me the ability to pause that goddamn motherfucking cutscene. I want to see the cutscene. Or if I want to skip it, make it harder for me to be able to skip it. Don't just be like, oh, if I sneeze and I accidentally press a button, we're moving on. That sucks. The next thing. Both of these next gripes are on the Uncharted series. Now, as a first-person shooter, it's not bad. Characters, kind of likable. Sort of like, a male. Like a male Lara Croft. It's sort of like Tomb Raider. I mean, it's not as complex as Tomb Raider. The characters is alright. The set design is good. The gripes come in whenever Uncharted 1 and 2 both pulled this shit on me. The set design is good, but it only has a certain amount of climbable paths and textures. Now, there have been other first-person shooters that only have one path that you can actually take, and the rest of it you can't actually climb on and stuff like that. But they normally do you the courtesy of, I don't know, making, climbable ledges stand out, flash, lead you toward these climbable edges. Because nothing else is climbable, and they try to make that a fucking point. That only one path is something that you can actually travel on. In Uncharted, the climbable ledges and the climbable things that you can actually grab that actually fucking take you somewhere look exactly like fucking everything else around you. The ledge that's supposed to take you up to the next level looks exactly like the fucking ledge next to it. It's not like this one is in pristine condition and this one's run down and crumpled and you can't climb that one. Fuck no! Uncharted's like, no, we gotta make it all look the same for consistency. I can't tell you how many times I get trapped in a fucking courtyard looking for the climbable surface because everything looks fucking climbable. 90% of the shit's not climbable, but it looks exactly like the shit that is climbable. There was a fucking ladder that you couldn't climb, but the one next to it looked exactly the same as that one, and you could climb it. I'm like, what the fuck, game? If you're gonna have one path lined out for me, tell me where that fucking path is. Make it glow, put up signs, anything. Make the enemies come from that path. I can't tell you how many times I fucking threw myself off a cliff reaching for a ledge that didn't exist because that was the wrong way to go. And the climbable ledge that it looked like was not climbable at all. It was just set design. But it looked plausible to me. And then the same thing fucking happened with the goddamn motherfucking locks on the doors. There's certain doors that are locked. I get that. That's a common thing to put in games. And you're supposed to shoot the lock. Another common, basic concept. But where these guys had fucked it up is they made the lock look exactly the same as the goddamn door. You would never see this fucking lock unless you were there in person, shoving it into your face. Unless you were rubbing your face on this door. Because the lock blends in with it. It didn't shine, it didn't sparkle, and the game doesn't tell you that you have to shoot the goddamn lock. There was a point in Uncharted 2 where there was these series of 3 ledges and then a locked door here. I jumped across these ledges, shot some bad guys, jumped across, and I got here and I saw this blocked door. And I'm like, must be a switch or something somewhere. And the game's hint system that's supposed to help you just told you to hold down R2 to pull up your firearm and R1 to fire. Well, I'm like, they must want me to shoot something. I looked around. I couldn't find this lock. I didn't even know there was a lock on this door. I tried shooting the hinges. At one point, after dying a few times, because I fucking ran out of bullets to shoot at this lock that I could not see, I was just spraying AK-47 bullets all over this door. All over it. And then I started chucking grenades at it. And eventually, one of the grenades was able to explode in the right spot that hit the detection box, that hit the lock, and the door eventually fell, but I never even knew that there was a lock. I was convinced at that point that you were supposed to throw grenades at the door to make it explode. And I was thinking, it's like, that can't be right. It's like, what if you didn't have grenades? Whenever you get to this door, there's no grenades lying around. Anyways, yeah, the fucking ledge after it is also something that screwed you because you had to get right up on the fucking tip of this ledge, almost to the point where you've walked off of it. And you have to make the jump, and you have to... The PS3 senses button pressure, so, you can have medium jumps, long jumps. That's fine. But I fucking died like 8 times after I figured out there was a lock on this door, which, again, I only found by fucking sheer luck and sheer amount of bullets that went into this damn door over a period of lives. Like, I had areas divided up, and I'm like, for nothing but this life, I will shoot at this area until this fucking door drops. And after like, 6 or 7 tries, I eventually figured out it's like, oh, hey, there's a lock on this door. Which was great. But then the fucking ledge afterwards, you just had to time it just fucking perfect. Just to get able to get a hold of the ledge. After fucking 6 failures at trying to jump at the ledge, I tried looking at other ways. I'm like, maybe it's not possible to jump across here. And then I started looking at other places. And I eventually came back to it and I was able to do it. But man, did that fucking piss me off. Make the lock stand out. Make it a different fucking color. Blue, red, purple. Different color than the door. Or make it shine. Zoom in. Have a close-up on the lock. There are many ways to show that you want this lock to be shot. Oh. Then the last gripe that I have, also from the Uncharted series, and I can only talk about one more, and this one's got to be it, because I might have a heart attack if I don't stop. And that is the puzzles in Uncharted, if you could even fucking call them that. Because at Uncharted 2, this was the apex of puzzles, and it had all the sophistication of fucking the child's toy, put square peg in square hole. And they pretended like it was some sort of grand fucking mystery. Like, I almost pissed myself laughing whenever I saw the bad guys and they were fucking stumped in the chamber. They're like, oh, I don't know what you're supposed to do in here. It's confusing. We'll just wait for Drake to show up. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, before I got into the room, it's like, oh shit, this puzzle might actually be hard, because the other kind of puzzles have like sucked ass so far. But I get in there, and again, all the fucking sophistication of put square peg in square hole. You picked up the square one, you put it on the square one. And then they added an extra level of puzzly goodness by making you match symbols. They turned it into a fucking match symbol puzzle. Jesus Christ! How can you call that a puzzle? A fucking brain-dead monkey just pressing buttons can solve it in 10 seconds! How? How can you call that a puzzle? This is what you need to fucking do. Either put in a cutscene and keep it as pretentious as you wanted, because goddamn it, did they build these puzzles up. It had all the setup of National Treasure, like you had history worked into it, and it looked all intricate, and there were machinations, wheels and turning and shit, but it had all the execution of a fucking preschool coloring book. If you're gonna have that amount of pretentiousness, either keep it in a cutscene and keep it some sort of grand illusion that the player couldn't possibly discover because it's so awesome. Or make fucking harder puzzles. Make the puzzles real puzzles. If you need source material, look at fucking puzzle games. My hat from The Legend of Zelda. Now, have there been bad puzzles in there? Sure, but on the whole, The Legend of Zelda games have this shit figured out. Either they had puzzles that were really hard, or things that weren't really meant to be puzzles in the fucking first place. Now again, I want none of my complaints to be addressed to the actual game designers. I understand that there's pressure to design and not everything is their final decision. And there's so many other things that work into it and stuff. Sometimes, obviously making puzzles, good puzzles, is hard, okay? I get that. If you're gonna have puzzles in there, easy puzzles, they could even keep the same puzzles that they have. But don't pretend that you're on the same level as something like a National Treasure movie or something like that. 'Cause, fucking Christ, the puzzles were simple. I remember another one whenever you're like moving the statue around, you gotta make it match a picture, but they made it seem like it was some sort of like grand mystery that like this puzzle was 500 years old and the world's greatest minds couldn't put 2 and fucking 2 together. Like, come on! You can't make people seem that stupid. Like, either you are dealing with the most fucking brain-dead people in existence, and your protagonist happens to be the only one with an IQ that's above a single-digit number. You can't have those kinds of puzzles and pretend like they're on the same level as the Enigma machine from World War II, or the shit that Japanese code breakers had to deal with in World War II. You just can't do that. It's fucking wrong. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I have a lot of rage, and I could make more videos. Please leave a comment about your fucking biggest disappointments or crocks of shit video games you had to deal with. Thank you.